everybody, welcome back to the HoloNet Marauders podcast and HoloNet Marauders Live. We're here to talk about The Acolyte, which is the show I've been looking since that one random night, like 4 Novembers ago. That's a weird way to say it. 4 years ago.
4 Novembers ago.
Kathleen Kennedy did that thing of like, here's the shows we're having. And Acolyte, since then, it's really grabbed me, so I've been looking forward to it. So I'm excited to talk about it. The show is finally here, and also here is Kyle Katarn once again joining us. Love talking with Kyle about the Bad Batch. So
yeah, I'm happy to be back. Thanks for inviting me back.
He's
guys.
a fun guy, so we're going to talk about Acolyte.
Thank you for joining us again tonight. This is actually you guys all got duped. We're talking about the Bad Batch tonight. No, I'm kidding. I am really sad though. Yeah. I gotta say, like, when this show started and like they did like the Star Wars like intro and then it wasn't like the drums of the Bad Batch, I was like, oh,
whoa!
Like immediately.
Is this the Swagman in our
Wait
chat?
a second. Really?
Star Wars?
Oh, hello. I gotta say, so I was really sad. But
they're here for Kyle. I'm here for Kyle, honestly. I'm not.
They're here to hear me cry about the Bad Batch, honestly. But that's not what the stream is about tonight. We're talking about the Acolyte, and we're actually going to talk about the Acolyte.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Oh yeah.
But before we get to the Acolyte, we're gonna talk about. We got to know Kyle last time a bit, like a month or two ago. I don't know at this point. But speaking of Star Wars being in our chat, you got to do a very cool thing.
I
a couple weeks ago at this point, a week ago, I don't remember.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
So give us the lowdown on your adventure out west or south for you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, south from where I'm.
Yeah,
exactly.
Geography and stuff.
Yeah, it was totally wild. I was invited to come down to Lucasfilm and basically do an advanced screening, like a preview screening of the first episode of The Acolyte. Which we didn't realize was going to be the thing. We thought we were just there to like talk to Leslye and have like this roundtable discussion, which we did, but they like surprised us with it. They were like, you know what? Well, we want you to have something to talk about. So why don't you come over here into this historic theater and we're going to watch the episode. Leslye was there. Like, it was fantastic. And we had a really candid, like very real conversation. Like, just like, it wasn't necessarily like a bunch of fans talking to a director. It was like a bunch of fans talking to each other. It was pretty cool. We got to learn a whole lot about like what her influences and approaches and like what her kind of philosophy was behind the show. And we got to share a lot of like our perspectives and kind of concerns too, like as the fan community about like what should be done with these stories. And then Dave Filoni walked in, right? Took us all by complete surprise. And I handled it. I think I handled it pretty well, all things considered. I had like a mini meltdown, but I course corrected fast, you know.
Just the hand over the face reaction was like priceless.
My friend Connie sent me a T-shirt with that printed out on it. So I've got that awesome. Immortalized now forever.
Yeah,
live Katarn reaction. That's perfect.
I tried to play it cool too. I tried to be slick. I know that Dave is a huge Penguins fan. Like the hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when I went up and I shook his hand, I was like, hey, like, you know, go Penguins, man. And he just winced. He was like, oh man, we've had the worst year. Like instant pain on his face. And I was like,
you're off the list.
Like, yeah, I did totally. I was like,
banned from Lucasfilm
immediately.
Trying to rub it in.
Day.
Yeah. Ruined his whole year, really.
Yeah, right. He came in there with a spring in his step and then he left. Like, why would this?
He was so excited. He's like,
bring up the Penguins.
Who invited Kyle?
And then a couple days later, the red carpet world premiere of The Acolyte in Hollywood. I got to go to that too. I got to bring my co-host Bendu with me, which was awesome.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we watched it again. That was the second time that I saw The Acolyte. And the cast was there. The cast of Ahsoka was there too, having their like vicarious red carpet because their show came out during a strike. So they didn't really get to have that experience as a group. So, and then I got to have a second picture with Dave without the hat. So I've like collected all the variants now, you know,
the chase.
pretty sweet. And then I came back home to Seattle and I attended an advanced screening here in my city for the X. So I've seen it. I saw it 3 times before it even came out on streaming.
This is a lot.
And then did you watch it yesterday?
So I did watch it yesterday.
Well,
so
there you go.
I'm on the short list of people that have seen this like the most times.
It's like you're the person to talk to about these episodes then. Like no one has seen it more than you.
Like I'm definitely watching it again. So
But yeah, I mean, that's incredible. You mentioned your birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday again while we're on the air here. Everyone in the chat wish Kyle a happy birthday.
Yep. Hit that like button to wish him a happy birthday.
But that's just an incredible way.
I mean, yeah, whether or not you wish it, I've had a happy birthday. Like,
yeah,
no
good.
I bet.
No question.
Are you able to like go into like the discussion with Leslye you had? Like, was there a question you asked or something that you had a cool answer for or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about a little bit of it. I don't want to really like. So they provided us with a bunch of B-roll footage to use in our videos after the fact. And we had, and they filmed the entire discussion, but the footage that we received was muted. They made the decision not to give us the audio, and I think that's because our conversation did kind of go astray a couple times. And they were like, "Well, we don't need the world to know that this was discussed."
Yeah.
So I think I'll do them a solid and continue to not discuss those things. But we talked a lot about like stylistic influences and like Leslye growing up as a Star Wars fan and like kind of her life story of how Star Wars was always kind of the constant, the thing that was there for her, and that really resonated with me because that was my growing up too. You know, I moved from New Zealand to America, like left all my friends behind, didn't know anyone in a new school, new place, but like Star Wars was there. So like that definitely was something that struck a chord with me because I felt the exact same way growing up. It was kind of a safety net in some ways. She mentioned, she like name dropped a couple influences that like really helped her form the show. And one that really stood out to me was Mike Flanagan.
Oh,
wow. She was inspired by Mike Flanagan when developing the Acolyte. And one thing she specifically brought up was the fact that he usually has like a major reveal around episode 5 of his shows. So I'm kind of inferring from that maybe we're going to get a big episode 5. Like maybe that's going to be the episode we get this whole flashback sequence and like the truth comes out.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
Wow, Mike Flanagan. That's an interesting influence.
Yeah.
Not one that I would have expected.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's very cool though.
Because you said that, and there was like 20 different things in my head, and none of them were even close to Mike Flanagan.
Like, are we gonna find the Sith and it's gonna be like midnight mass? Like,
yeah, there you go.
Would be cool though.
It would be.
Kyle, your adventure sounded awesome. But with that, we're moving on to our question of the week.
Let's do it.
And this comes from Chad, who I didn't get the special graphic up this week because a little bit rusty right now. But the question is, if you were a Jedi during the High Republic era, would you be a Coruscant Jedi or an Outpost Jedi? And we kind of see that in these episodes, where we have the Jedi on Coruscant, and then we go to the outposts on I forget the name of the planet.
Olega.
I
got a bone to pick with that, but Olega.
Oh, really?
Olega and Ueda, because Ueda also had a Jedi posted there.
Right. True.
Yes.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
So it's a good question from Chad. Thanks again, Chad. And
that is a good question.
I mean, I myself would go Coruscant. I'm all about Coruscant. I know, Matt, you get bored with Coruscant very easily, but like that's where it's happening. I want to be there. I'm not about the backwater planets really as much. I mean, I am, but I don't want to live there. So, but Kyle, what do you think?
Ironically, I feel like if you're based on Coruscant, you never leave Coruscant because there's just too many things to do. But if you're stationed on a backwater world, you probably travel to all the worlds in that system, following up various things for your little, like, because there's fewer of you guys, so you've got to take on more responsibilities. I think I'd go with a backwater posting somewhere in the Outer Rim, and it's absolutely for superficial reasons. It's because I look way better in brown than I do in white. So I'm all about the mission robes. I'd rather be wearing mission robes, I think. But also Coruscant, like, man, like I got overwhelmed at Disneyland. You want to talk about rush hour on Coruscant? Like, there's nowhere to escape to. It's just more city everywhere, and that kind of terrifies me because I live in a big city, and Seattle has a lot of trees, and like there's a lot of greenery even in the most urban areas, which is kind of nice. Coruscant's just Duracrete, Plascrete everywhere.
Yeah.
That would eat away at my soul, I think. So I'd go with the backwater world because it's probably got a beautiful scenery,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look at Andor. Andor painted Coruscant in probably the worst light I've ever seen it. And that's just like what
brutalist paradise, man.
Yeah, awful.
I'm a big fan of brutalist architecture. That was really fun to see them like.
Oh, it was awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. When we were doing the Andor streams, I was all about the brutalism. Like, whoa,
yeah, you came around on Coruscant in those streams. I remember.
Yeah, it's a cool location to set things in, but not a place I would want to live. I'm going backwater. I'm a laid back guy. I could sit in my hammock all day chewing a piece of straw, maybe float down river.
This is kind of funny because the two of you,
fish with a lightsaber,
Kyle and Matt, you live in like city type environments. Jamie and I kind of live in not a backwater environment.
More like
we live backwater.
You think it's a grass is greener kind of situation?
Maybe I'm like, I want to switch
what
things
you
up.
don't have.
Well, I didn't think of it like, I wouldn't be traveling around if I was on Coruscant. But then if that was the case, I'd probably change my mind.
So
you'd be doing just as much travel as I would on my Outer Rim world, but you'd be traveling to other sectors of Coruscant constantly.
Yeah, true.
Here's my answer. So unfortunately, I'm burdened with the knowledge of the High Republic. So like I know like the bigger difference between the two of them. Like I love all of the outposts. Oh my gosh, the nubs. Sorry, we'll talk about my backdrop in a second. Let me get to my answer first. You guys can't distract me like that. Also, I got like a really big distraction and like a message like 3 minutes ago, and I'm like hyperventilating about that. But I'll get back to that too later on off stream.
Now I'm like, what is it? Right.
No, it's good. It's good. So anyway, so I would pick an outpost. I love the outposts. My favorite part of Light of the Jedi is the Elfrona outpost with Loden and Bell. I loved that entire sequence, and I just think that it would be so much more fun to be posted on the frontier and learning and connecting with the planets, like out the planet and the culture out there, and then you eventually return to Coruscant and like spread your knowledge that way. Additionally, I wouldn't really want to be a Coruscant Jedi anyway, because that's what the entire thing with the prequels are, and I want to like see the rest of the galaxy, because like the rest in the prequels, it's just the Clone Wars at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I want to be there on day one when Dex's Diner opens.
Okay, all right.
That's
the whole point of the outposts, right? Is so they don't send Jedi from the core worlds. They already have Jedi out there, so you're never going to see the galaxy if you're on those core worlds. You're just going to keep going back and forth between Alderaan, Corellia, and Coruscant. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, unless you're sent on ambassadors to Naboo for a secret mission.
True.
Although,
but then they close up all the outposts
and Obi-Wan, they travel a lot. Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, by the time the prequels roll around, all the outposts are closed. The Living Force, the novel that just came out, actually heavily features that as its plot point. The planet of Quen had like a giant Jedi temple with like this big beacon that they lit every night, and everybody on the planet could see the beacon because it was only like a handful of islands. Yeah, it was like a flame, and they loved that. Everybody loved the Jedi, and they were really sad that the Jedi were planning on closing down.
Would you live on Starlight Beacon?
It's a good storyline. I love its connectivity to Star Wars Rebels and like Jedi Fallen Order. The way Ezra keeps finding these Jedi temples all over the goddamn place.
Yeah,
they're all abandoned. Like, why are there so many? Well, this is why. We're like, pulling that in now.
I love how. Yes, and I love how many we've seen in the Acolyte so far, and not to derail too farther. I've tried to put as much High Republic things as I could in the background. Obviously, it mostly lives in books, but I won the Stellan Geos lightsaber. So that is like on display. I decided to put in.
You know, I'm realizing all of my High Republic books are on the shelf, just like not on camera right here.
Just like nearby.
Put them on the back.
Yeah. You have some space down there. It looks like in the on your left over your shoulder.
Yeah, I like these. Fun fact: I've been building these shelves up until about 20 minutes before the stream started, and I hadn't quite put everything back on it yet. So it's work in progress.
Getting there. It looks great though.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah,
High Republic encyclopedia. That's it.
Chad also had a second part of the question that didn't have to do with that really, but he really wanted to know, Kyle, you were showing off your Acolyte blanket.
Oh,
so Star Wars sent you a little goodie box.
They did.
Have you eaten the ramen noodles? That's what he wants to know. and were they good?
Are they blue?
No. I don't know if they're blue or not. I have not tried them, but now that I have like 3 or 4 of these, I'm okay with opening one up on the stream and we can find out together. How about that?
Let's
if you're
have
down,
a wild ride.
They probably won't be blue because that was an Andor thing.
They also just fun fact gave me this awesome little Acolyte noodle ramen bowl and
with the little chopsticks.
Chopstick set. It's kind of fun.
I'm so jealous. That's so
I know
cool.
That is nice.
All right, one of these got totally munted in the. Yeah, this one got like destroyed in the transport. So I'll just.
I think that's safe. I think that's safe to open. and then eat the raw ramen on stream while we chat. There's just crunching in the microphone the whole time. Just the worst crunching.
Okay, confirmed.
Immediately now.
Good old fashioned cup of
Good old
noodles.
fashioned ramen. Okay.
But I mean, I could make it blue with minimum effort. Just some blue food coloring. You're good.
Some
to go.
bloodles.
I love the bloodles. Those
Maybe-
are
Getting to see the guy in Andor, like
slurping
up
his blue noodles.
Maybe for season 2 of Andor, they'll include bloodles in their fun boxes. Okay,
That's it. Maybe we go back to the noodle shop from season 1 and season 2, and he's selling blue noodles now. He found a new lease on life.
Get on it. Blue,
Star Wars,
Blue
if you're listening,
and I
know you may have been earlier.
Yeah.
Bloodles.
I would
for
love
Andor
some of those
season 2.
bloodles.
I would like just put some food coloring on some noodles and send it to me. I don't care. I'll eat them.
This
All
is
right.
quite the request.
Let's get to the main entree, not to keep the food puns going or whatever.
Keep the food puns going.
Let's talk about the Acolyte.
Yeah.
So luckily, the Acolyte kicks off with a noodle shop.
Yes.
There we go.
Sure does.
What's going on in that noodle shop? Yeah, the big wheel of noodles, and this is the only time we see it, and I was just
love it.
What's going on in that noodle shop is Neil Scanlon is like realizing his life's work.
Yes. Okay.
Creatures everywhere, and they look.
I love how like they casually are posting that like Neil Scanlon is like heavily involved in like the moment. Like I haven't known about this later on, but we'll just kick off with it. So he does all like the creature and like effects and whatnot like that, and so I love. There are so many aliens in the Acolyte, and just so many creatures, and just like so much like goodness of that. Like obviously we have like the zaniness in like I forget what other shows there are.
You know the other ones.
The other ones.
Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and
But yeah, it's Mandalorians or like Andor is like all humans.
I was about to say all of them except
like,
Andor.
All of like aliens.
Pretty much.
And it was so cool to see so many aliens.
I feel like that they front loaded the aliens specifically to set the audience at ease and be like, "Don't worry, there's aliens everywhere."
Here they are.
Yeah.
The first like series of shots, it's nothing but aliens.
That first
the
guy.
very first one that we see before May even walks in to the place, she asks for directions from the guy who has like
I love the
bubble.
He was my favorite.
I gotta know, like, is he breathing ammonia like a Gand? Like, is it liquid? Like, what's happening there?
I think it's
when you instantly have questions like that, you know.
He's just smoking.
Drugs.
He's just hanging out and he's smoking a bowl, just hanging out.
Legit. He's just got like the respirator, like.
And some lady comes up to him and gives him money. He wasn't even begging for money. He just had his hat off, and she just walks up and gives him money, and he's like, "Well, this is the greatest day of my life. I get to just hang around. I get to smoke."
God!
Some
Not
lady just
to
paid
derail
me.
everything, but that happened to me once in real life. And I was like, so these days I get a beard trim every single Monday like clockwork, and I make sure that I'm always looking like kept. But I let it go a little bit one summer, and I'd just gone in a delicious burrito, and it was really sunny, and I like kind of laid down and just like laid down in the sun on the grass for a little bit. And when I woke up, there was like $5 in my hat. And I was like, oh my God.
There you go.
My hair was a little long. I looked a little shaggy, and it's like, if you have a beard, it's like 0 to 60, 0 to homeless, like that. You gotta keep on top of it.
You gotta trim it.
But yeah, that happened to me once.
Anyway, can't relate, but I feel for your pain. AJ, I know you wrote it down, but before the noodle shop, the show actually started with a 3-sentence intro on screen. We got like the text.
Yes. How'd you know I wrote something down?
Because when we watched it tonight. You're over there going, oh yeah.
I paused it on the
good.
thing, yeah.
I think you paused it too.
So I don't have an issue with this. Well, first of all, I love the title crawls they've been doing. The paragraph. I like that it's not like the movie one, but it's different. Like the Ahsoka one was awesome. I thought. With the
Ahsoka one's my favorite. This one and the Solo one were basically the same. With like just they just fade up the text and then just fade it out.
So they mention, obviously, there's the High Republic's this big time of like pretty much peace and all that, and like they say there's been no war, but I don't know what counts as a war because like, and I'm not like Matt and Jamie with the High Republic. I'm phase 1. I know like the back of my hand, but 2 and now 3 I don't know as well.
There's a big conflict going on right now in phase 3. So
I would say so, but
do we not count the Nihil a war?
Is it a war?
That's the thing. So
brutal.
Currently in the phase 3 novels. Spoiler alert for anybody.
Is it like a war on drugs kind of war?
The Nile builds this
Also-
machine that cuts off like a sector of the galaxy from the rest of the galaxy.
Right.
And I say that's probably the largest scale this conflict has gone so far. Like that's pretty big.
Well, even
And
Starlight Beacon. I mean, I don't. We
well,
don't.
Starlight
Well,
Beacon,
are
an
the
attack
Nile
on the
considered
Jedi
an
is not a
army?
war.
Okay,
you know.
true.
Yeah.
It's an attack.
One singular skirmish. I mean, there's 1.5 million wars going on. Like the Trade Federation blockade on Naboo. That's like a Saturday, you know, for the it is like
Yeah.
a large scale galactic conflict that affects hundreds of thousands of systems. That's I guess
This is a
what
big
they count.
big galaxy. Yeah.
But I feel like the storm wall is like teetering on the edge of like, is this a war? Can we count this as a war?
It's questionably a war as of right now in phase
I think
3.
it's an extended incident.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
go with an
let's go with
extended
that.
incident. It's
I
been
like
4
that.
years. Phase 1 and phase 3 take place over the course of 4 years. And it's just a little
I
extended.
have not entered
My-
phase 3
skirmish.
yet in the books. I am up to phase 3 in the comics though. So
Mhm.
I've got very like
Pretty much. Same.
happy information.
So mind
What's
you
going
as
on?
well, phase 3 is about 100 years before the Acolyte. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
just like context wise.
I like to count the Acolyte as like phase 4, basically, of the High
Yeah.
Republic.
Sure.
Yeah,
Since
let's
they're not
call
they're
it
making
that.
a phase 4. I like to
With
count
an
the Acolyte as
arguably
phase
final
4.
phase because
Yeah.
not long after this we're going to be getting to the end of the High Republic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
I was my friend asked me, he's like, how long does the High Republic last? And I said, well, roughly like 80 BBY, right? Or like 100 BBY, I think, like around then, whenever Dooku is born.
Right.
Basically, Dooku's birth is the end of the High Republic. Everybody's like, well, this place sucks now.
There goes the
Dooku, this,
neighborhood.
so they're looking
Everyone
at this
change
little
your-
baby.
That's it.
Yeah. Change your robes. This guy showed up.
All right.
Um,
This guy.
But yeah.
So
showed
yeah,
up.
well, let's reel it back. Let's reel it back.
Yeah.
So we have the initial fight with Master Andara and May, in which we know her name is May because of what develops in the episode, but we don't know what her name is technically in that moment. Right? The
I thought her
suspense?
name was you. 'Cause
I
that's
don't
what
know.
Adara
what-
said. She goes, it's you.
Who's this? Or who's he? I thought he was with you.
No,
We'll get
don't
to
even get
that
me-
later.
That's the
We'll get
best
to that
joke.
later. We'll get to
Not even
that
thinking
later.
about Wars.
Palpatine's name was Frank.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
Oh, that's-
But yeah, we had this entire fight, which was the fight that we saw at the end. If you want to see the Phantom Menace in theaters, this was the scene that we saw at the very end. Except they cut a few things out, dialogue-wise and whatnot. And so it was really cool to see like the full fight. And my God, it was gorgeous, and it would just look like super kung fu. And
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. Like I thought it was just like a really cool take on it, and like refreshing to see like a different-ish fighting style, but still familiar in Star Wars, if that makes sense.
I really
Yeah.
have to commend whoever thought of making a Star Wars martial arts wire fu influence show. Like, first of all, how did that
Seriously.
take almost 50 years to think about? But also,
They go
congratulations, you're the
together
smartest
so
man on earth.
naturally.
You're the smartest person on earth. Thank you for coming up with that, because that is just brilliant. It's just brilliant.
I love how they're setting this time period apart using the influences and using the choreography and the combat. Like all of traditional Star Wars is so based on like kendo choreography
Right.
and sword fighting. And this is so much more like handheld. It's hand to hand, and then like the saber comes out as a last resort to quickly and decisively
Mhm.
end the
brilliant.
fight. Like if you see a Jedi fighting, you're going to see like a flash of color for an instant, and then it's over.
Yeah.
And that it's such
Yeah.
a very different discipline to what we see in the prequels. And it's like the higher the skill level of a Jedi, the less they use their lightsaber.
Yeah.
Which also makes a great subtle character detail with Yord, like using it like a goddamn flashlight,
Yeah.
running around.
Yeah, he's
Very true.
trying his best. I loved all that, but like not to like jump ahead to like the end of the episode, but whoever the mysterious Sith person is, their entire thing is kill a Jedi without a weapon.
Right.
So I don't know what the reasoning is. We don't know the reasoning yet, but it all goes back to that of like the way that the fighting styles are with all of this right now with the Jedi is they will not draw their weapon unless it's the last resort. And that's always been something that like has been true within all of the High Republic, but it's just been like very cool to see it finally.
Unless it's
So-
a last resort or unless it's Yord.
Or unless it's Yord and you can't see, it's a little
He just
dim.
needs a flashlight.
and
He's
you
just,
need
He
some
might need
light.
some
He's just
glasses.
ready. He's just ready to go.
The Sith are all about challenges. So I have a feeling
Yeah.
this is probably either like a simple like kill them without a weapon because that's way harder than killing them with a weapon, or it's specifically to mock them, maybe something along those lines. Perhaps she keeps reaching for the lightsabers though, and like the original like Sith challenge is always like kill a Jedi, bleed their crystal, and then use that for your lightsaber. That's like the OG Sith challenge.
Leaving the saber on the floor like that was very pointed.
Yeah. So she feels like she's probably not worthy of it when she kills Indara with the knife, I would assume, which is why she leaves it. Because otherwise she keeps reaching. She reached for Indara's and she reached for Souls.
See, I actually disagree with that. I think that she left it because she's not in it for trophies and it's not about proving herself. This is about justice as she sees it, or revenge.
Revenge, yeah.
But then why does she keep reaching for the
motivated by this? And it's not, there's a morality behind it for her. And it's not about supremacy or dominating the Jedi. And she doesn't want the lightsaber because it's a reminder of this thing she's trying to move past. And that's why
I think she was reaching for them just to maybe to disarm them. But then who's
or to use it to kill them, or probably just to throw it away, get it out of the fight.
So
come out
because you can't use.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah,
if you take away their weapon, they can't use their weapon. So.
See, I think that the master, I don't think he thinks May's capable of doing it, and I think that he is using the Sith philosophy of like torturing your apprentice. Basically, he's trying to make her determined to fail, so that she'll learn some lesson about the Jedi through being unable to do this thing he's asking her to do. It's always like this like very like cyclical, like manipulative thinking. That's how the Sith kind of teach their apprentices.
Yeah,
make them suffer through a lesson instead of just being like, by the way, this won't work. He's like, no, go try and do this. Don't come back here until you've successfully done it. Waits for her to get frustrated enough to come back in shame and defeat and be like, see, you're nothing. Blah, blah,
the impossible
blah, blah.
task.
Every single Darth Vader comic is that storyline.
It is.
Exactly.
It really is.
Palpatine going, do this thing. Vader shows up and can't do it.
Like,
and he comes back to Palpatine, and Palpatine's like, you piece of shit.
That's what I thought of.
That's
the
whole thing.
playbook. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't expect her to succeed.
No, he probably doesn't. You're probably right.
So, so speaking of Padawans, let's talk first about Yord and his Padawan just like showing up onto this Trade Federation ship.
Live action Zygerians.
Yeah,
Dude, right?
Finally.
Very,
unbelievable.
very,
Never thought
very
I'd see
cool.
it.
Yeah, just like Yord's entire like arrival, and it's just
I have to say,
this guy
Yord might be my favorite character in the show so far.
Really?
I think I'm crazy. People think I'm crazy when I say that.
No,
Yord
he's fantastic.
Yeah, Matt, have you heard of the Yord Horde?
Funny. I'm part of him. I'm part of him.
He's great comic relief in that he's trying so hard to prove himself.
Yeah. He's
like,
great.
And it means everything to him that he's finally been made a knight and he's terrified of screwing up the opportunity and he can't get out of his own way.
He's so pompous, but it works. Because he's like, what did they call him? They called him a himbo. He's a himbo too.
He's totally a himbo, but he means well. He doesn't have a malicious bone in his body. Everything he's doing, like someone I was talking to made the analogy that he's like, you're starting off in D&D. He's like a level 1 paladin. He has all of the dogma because he has none of the skill yet, so he has to fall into like how hard he believes in the cause because he doesn't really have any experience to back it up yet.
I'm really looking forward to his arc, and yes, I am officially part of the Yord Horde now.
You don't think Yord's gonna die? Yeah, like you be cut down as an early example. You think he's gonna be around long enough to have an arc?
I would be a little disappointed, but I feel like they're setting him up for something. Like
we've only got 8 episodes, and we know that some Jedi are gonna die. So,
I mean, like 2 Jedi already have died. And we know just from trailer content that they're gonna appear in a flashback, but like
Torbin. I love Torbin.
We'll get to him. We'll get to him.
I have many thoughts about Torbin.
Before we get too far off of Yord so far though, I just wanted to say as well, it's funny that he's got some sort of like a beef with like everyone, or like just like a history with everyone as well. It's like I love like that is actually a thing. Because like he definitely has some sort of beef with Jecki like later on, and like that's whatever that is. I just want to know. It's definitely something.
I don't know what that is. I think that they were Padawans together because she's been a Padawan for clearly more than 2 years.
Yeah,
and he only recently became a knight 2 years ago, so he probably graduated out of her class, and so because of that, she doesn't see him as a knight because she still knew him as a Padawan. That's why she says like these. Like the things she says to this man, it's absolutely hilarious. She's like, "Don't interfere with the plan. Like, just do what you're told." Like, This is a knife talking to. You're a Padawan.
He's in there clenching his jaw.
He pretty condescendingly like calls her Padawan as well. So that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Like, I have a family member who is like an intimidatingly impressive person if you met them on the street and like knew their resume. But because they're my sibling, like I'll always just be like, oh, hey, what's up, fuck nuts? Like, whatever. Like, doesn't matter how many times you saved the world. I'm not impressed because I've known you since you were a little kid. You know?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those.
Yeah.
Jackie and
all right.
I like that. That's
okay.
Nice. Makes him more endearing. Don't kill him off. They're probably gonna.
No, I'm here for it. I want him to stay around so he can come around.
Yeah,
because he's kind of brash, he's kind of arrogant, but he's super capable of learning from his mistakes and getting ahead. It's evidenced in episode 2 by the decision that he makes. But like, I have a lot of hope for him. I think he'll definitely come around and see the error of his approach.
Yeah.
I gotta go back one more thing because I jumped ahead. I'm sorry. There was so much that happened in the opening scenes.
It's tough doing 2 episodes at once.
Amanda Stenberg shows up again, but she's a different character. And she looks different, and it's like, oh my god, this is actually someone else. And so we get a weird, almost confirmation immediately that she's playing 2 characters.
Yeah, I don't. Is it a confirmation though? I had so many comments on my YouTube reaction saying like I was convinced that it was the same character having blackouts and like she traveled back to this ship or something. Like I guess it wasn't that apparent.
I mean, they look at each other at one point.
Yeah, I think that.
I think they mean at the beginning, right?
I'm talking about Osha waking up in her bunk. People are like, oh, it's the same person. Time has passed. Now she's back at her job. Like she snuck off and killed someone. Came back to work.
Gotcha.
Right. I think and I mean the show's trying to imply.
The show is trying to imply. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I thought that too similarly in the beginning, but like the fact that they literally have them like looking at each other shows that like it is there, and the fact like Saul also is there was a second person is like, okay, this isn't just like hearsay.
Well, yeah. They set it up at the beginning and then they cut it down almost immediately. Like when her coworker's like, "Oh, why didn't you come to Nar Shaddaa with us?"
Right? Where were you last night?
Where were you last night? And she's like,
"That's my business."
Yeah. Like, so I mean, it's clear they're trying to be like, "Ooh," but then immediately it's like, actually,
and let's not ride over the fact that while they have this conversation, they walk past a prehistoric gonk droid.
Yes.
There he was.
Majestic.
There he was.
Beautiful.
That was so
beautiful.
He looked like honestly looked like an accordion, like on legs, not a battery on legs. He looked like an accordion.
Were like more articulated, like they bent almost with like knee joints a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like this lost technology that we never like.
I need a figure of that guy.
100%. Still waiting for my Clink figure, by the way.
Oh, he reminded me of Clink a bit.
He's an honorary gonk.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, he is.
Honorary gonk for sure.
Right. Oh man, I forgot about Clink.
You know, while we're on the subject of Osha in that first scene. The irony is not lost on me that a character with a super dangerous, highly illegal repair job, and her name is Osha.
They really can't hit it on the nose.
I love it.
Yep.
Every single non-American sitting there scratching their head like, what are these people talking about?
Like, Osha, that's a really pretty name. No, guys, think about this. Think about this. It is a really pretty name, but like interesting.
What do you guys think of Pip?
Love Pip.
I love Pip.
Yeah, I thought that was a really clever concept for a droid.
I got a Pip right here to charge my phone.
Oh, that's so cool.
This was in the goodie bag. Yeah, it's a little battery charger.
That's so
incredible.
funny. I love how, while we're on the topic of Pip, I love how versatile he is. Like, obviously, like he like can't like go anywhere. Like he needs to be handheld. It's not like he can like float. But like, there's so many uses. Like he's
filled with flame retardant.
I think he's been programmed to feel pain.
His head comes off, right?
Yes.
That was
he feels it every time you like twist his head off. And
he's like, please don't.
Please don't decapitate me again.
Oh my god.
There he goes. I love him. I mean, it's killing me that his name is Pip though, because I just think of like the Pip Boys and like Fallout, and I'm just But like,
and they keep calling him like a Pip droid, and I keep hearing Pip droid, and I'm like,
I've always wanted to have a droid I could wear in a holster, though.
Yes.
I love how there were a few moments as well. She would like cover like him up to like either hide him or just like protect. Like before the ship crashes, she like takes the effort to like make sure he's secure, and I'm like, it's good, taking care of the droids always. So I guess let's stick to that with the whole thing with the prisoner transport sequence.
Yeah. Although we missed something very important.
Campy. I loved it.
If it's the stuff about Soul, we'll regroup.
The Neimoidians.
The Neimoidians.
Yeah.
Out.
They were awesome.
Dressed. Absolutely fantastic. And not our first female Neimoidian, right?
No, there was a few.
One of
back
the
in Phantom Menace.
one of the bridge workers in the Trade Federation. Yes, that's what
Yeah.
I'm talking.
Oh yeah, was that?
I like your little
character-
Betty Page, little
Yes.
like hair bob dude.
She had like a
Nice.
funny like hairdo or a
Yeah,
headpiece
that was
at
great.
least. It was good.
She kind of had like a flight attendant vibe for some reason.
I could see that.
I could see that. I could see that. I loved the main guy's robes. Loved the main guy.
Oh, the
Yeah.
little like the frilly epaulette that he had going down
Yeah.
the side, like just
What happened? Why did they change that? They're
budget
wearing like
cuts over
frumpy
like
stuff.
100 years.
Yeah, I
New
guess
they
so.
got cheap.
style.
Too many
I bet
fires.
this guy
Not
went
enough
down for
mech mix.
embezzlement, and that's why he looks so good.
That's, you know what?
And then
But that's
policies
a
were
good
made,
point.
and that's why they all look like Newt Gunray moving forward.
Guess what? Guess what the main Neimoidian's name was? He did get a name. You ready for this?
I saw it in the rundown, but I forget.
Let's go.
Captain Blex.
Blex.
Okay.
Flex.
Captain Black.
Where's my Blex
BLEX.
figure?
Captain Blex.
I got all the Neimoidians. I got Lot
Can we
Dodd.
get one with the
He's bald.
Lot
voice
Dodd's
dip?
the best.
Lot Dodd's the best.
We
Love
have a-
Lot Dodd.
We have like a lot Dodd in our like intro, actually, just like walking along.
We love
Got a lot
Lot.
of Dodd.
I'm a Dodd head, dude. That's what I am.
Oh my god.
Oh my
Okay.
god, Grateful Dodd. Put that on a shirt.
Oh, the Grateful Dodd.
Be a Dodd head.
Yeah.
That's it. We're done.
Gotta write that
Okay.
one down.
All right, write that one
Take it
down.
to the brand. Grateful Dodd. We're done here.
Yep.
So,
Good
so
night,
the,
everyone.
the prisoner transport sequence. This was very cool. I loved prisons in Star Wars. Are fascinating. They just are super fascinating. Total not side note, but kind of side note. One of my favorite YouTubers to watch is Dami Lee, and she does architecture videos. And she did like a full like deep dive about like prisons in media. And there's a big deep dive she did about Andor. I highly recommend watching it if you
Nice.
guys.
Yeah,
have
she's
time.
fantastic.
It is
Fantastic
it's a
channel.
really good video. But that's like architecture and whatnot. So
Mm.
but this prisoner transport, this was just like a very cool sequence, seeing this like absolute scum of the galaxy again, a ton of aliens, and then just like
Some great character acting,
Ugh.
by the way.
Yeah.
Great character
little
acting.
group,
all
so
of
good.
them.
so
Great
compelling,
character
and they're on the
design.
screen for such a short amount of time. Also, the cyborg,
Dude.
me and Bendu were calling him like "Oops, all Lobot."
Yeah.
It's like you enhance him, but then you like just go too far with it.
You just go. That's dude. It's he was giving me.
He was a really cool design.
That
He
was.
was Rothgar Dang vibes for me.
For
Yeah.
I was
sure.
like, oh my
Oh.
goodness, this
Yeah.
guy.
I feel
What
like
happened?
he like had some Dr. Evazan surgeries at some
No
point.
way. Like yeah. Like
he's
no.
almost decraniated, but
No
instead he's
kidding.
just got like a weird like half the lower half's gone.
Yeah.
Mm.
Who let him in? Who let him on the ship? And who didn't like do anything to him?
Yeah,
Like,
who
why'd you
didn't,
just
like,
let him like
put-
walk around?
Should have like put a restraining bolt up his butt or something. Like, to
Shoulda-
make sure
shoulda
that he
given
can't
him-
like take over the droids in the front.
The
Should've
security
given him,
was
like,
not great on
brain
that.
parasite
Turning the
thing.
chairs.
Yeah, the chair
Oh,
droids.
the chair droids. What a design.
I love it. It's so stupid. I love it.
It's
It-
great.
It's perfect because like you can either have actual pilots or just have it be automatic pilot. It's great.
Or you could have it both ways and have somebody hug you the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, I can
Which
just
is what I would
imagine
do.
like some giant child's thumb like clicking the droid back into the chair position because the whole thing's a giant action figure. Like, that's such
Yeah.
an action figure
Oh,
thing
they-
to do.
Absolutely.
oh my gosh.
And I'm telling you, like those are the seatbelts. Like
Also,
if you're
the
going
Dybbuk-
down, they
that a thing from the
grab
books?
you. What's up?
Was the
There's-
Dybbuk in the books? The parasite that was
Oh,
controlling
no.
the dude
I
on
don't
over
think
his mouth?
so.
I don't think
think
so.
that was
I think that's a
terrifying.
completely whole.
Because clearly that's something that gets outlawed by the time of the prequels. Like they
Yeah.
decided that
Yeah,
was not humane anymore.
So yeah, that definitely wasn't. So AJ, you said like a minute ago there was like pretty much no security on this ship, in which there
Yeah.
wasn't. It was just the one big
droid.
like
The warden was
mentally
pretty
droid.
imposing. Like he was.
Yeah, it was-
I don't know if I could take him. I don't have a big thing that comes out of. The
Yeah,
top
you don't
of
have a
my
big
head.
tentacle head. Love tentacle head.
I thought it was
gotta
kind of
point out
funny.
Tentacle head.
They took Osha, Yord
Mhm.
took Osha, and like they put her on this transport instead of and they mentioned this later on, instead of putting her on the Jedi Vector.
There
which
was
we get
nowhere
to
for her to
see.
sit though. It's a
Yeah,
two-seater.
true.
Okay, yes, but no. There was also probably like another like ship because I had this actually. I don't know. I don't want to poke holes in this, but the Jedi Vector. But then they had the witness come in and be like, "That's her." So like, where was
Yeah, where
that
was
guy?
he?
Was he on the Jedi Vector? So there must.
He
have
was
been, like,
he was in the Padawan's lap talking about
Yes.
his bar. Whole hyperspace.
Serving him noodles.
And this is High Republic hyperspace journey, so it's like it took a long time for them
Yep.
to show up. And he's like, "I can't tell you how long it took me to order that wood for the bar, and now it's got knife marks all over it." Blah,
and
blah,
he
blah,
brought
blah.
his
Making my noodles blue. I don't know. What do you think?
he brought his
yeah.
kid with him as well.
Also, just to rewind for a second, Indara is posted up on this planet, And she's just like hanging out at the noodle bar with like a little entourage of like
She's
alien
getting drunk with the
friends.
boys. Yeah, you got to.
Why
Sometimes
not?
it's what you got to do when you're a Jedi.
I do wonder what situation it was that got interrupted by May. Like, was these just her friends for lunch? Was she resolving a dispute? Were these community leaders? Like, what's going on here? Was she doing Jedi business, or was she literally having lunch?
Maybe she holds like an open forum like every single day. She's like, all right, guys, I'm gonna be down at the bar for 2 hours. If you got something to tell me, come down and tell me.
Kind of feels like the local celebrity holding court at like the establishment. You know, like,
exactly. This is where you'll find me. I'll be there.
You want to talk to me? You got to talk to Handlebar Face over there first.
Yeah. This is office hours at the noodle shop. That's what it is.
So there's the breakout, the big breakout, and that's all just hilarious. A lot of
waving at her with the like disembodied droid.
The visual gags, yeah.
Can you give me a hand?
Can you give me a hand?
Give me a hand.
No.
Tentacle like that.
Tentacle head. Loved Tentacle head. Loved the unstable, violent guy. she helps him up. She takes his parasite off. Oh, just runs.
I mean, to be fair, if I've got that thing on my face for God knows how long, I'm probably gonna start screaming as soon as it's gone too.
Yeah.
Sane or not.
Funny enough, I believe the people in the other cell that I think like that parasite actually does like give you like happy feelings, like happy hallucinations.
It calms you
and
down.
He was like probably enjoying it.
In
but
the
obviously
Han
that's still
Solo
not
trilogy,
ethical.
the AC Crispin one, there's like a cult that are controlling people by like releasing a pheromone that like gives you like this euphoria. So it was probably something like it's similar, if not inspired by that kind of an alien, where like it makes you feel euphoric and like.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the Mind Flayer.
When you have hypothermia, when you freeze to death, like you feel really warm and snuggly as your body like shuts down because it's like releasing these endorphins and things. Like that's probably what it was doing to like calm him down, just putting him in this like state of bliss.
In Mando that they use on Pershing, same kind of thing. I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
makes you feel good unless there's like too much.
Most gentle sounding like.
yeah.
God, man.
Right.
No, but the tentacle head guy, the as yet unnamed species, unless it's already on Wikipedia and I just don't know about it.
Couldn't find it.
You know what it made me think of was Bruce, the shark from Finding Nemo.
He sounded like
reminded. I do something to our brains. Like it totally heard Bruce.
He sounded like, oh my god, yeah.
I love that. So wow,
that is good.
Makes me like him even more. He was my favorite alien.
Oh, for sure. He was the most huggable of the psychopaths in that cell.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree.
But why didn't anybody know he had a tentacle in his head?
I bet the blubber is like comforting to hold.
Oh, I bet.
I love how absolutely crazy all of them were, and their plan works, and then they the scumbags they leave her behind, and then they immediately but then they immediately get caught.
Yeah,
I love how like. So like there probably was like some sort of like automated like message like sent that the ship was going down, and so the Republic was just like, let me just I can catch everybody. But they were this close, and then they're all just like screaming and yelling in the jail cells, and
I know.
Just so
also,
good.
I didn't notice this until like the fourth time that I saw it, but when they pile into that escape pod, the guy who waved the floppy hand at him literally gets onto the shark dude's lap and then puts his arms around him like a seatbelt.
It was a really tight.
It goes like this, and then it closes.
I'm telling you,
really tight.
Those chairs, you could get that 24/7 if you.
He's like, all right,
use those droid
screw
chairs.
that girl. Here, hug me. We're going down. Like,
hey, Leslye did say the show was going to be really gay, so
that's true.
Let's get
that's
started.
our first. That's our first gay romance.
That's it.
I don't ship many people, but I ship those two prisoners.
Those guys, yeah,
absolutely.
They deserve a win. They've been through a lot, clearly.
Exactly.
Somebody brought up the Old Republic. One of the comments was about the Old Republic. We had a Cellcath. We had a Cellcath.
We did see a Cellcath. Oh my god!
We did.
Yeah,
that was like unbelievable.
Possibly even a Jedi Cellcath because he's in the temple working on the lower level.
He was at the Jedi when we cut to them the first time. I was like, wait a minute.
I wish we could hear him talk.
I know. Oh, it was nuts. I couldn't believe it.
But yeah, let's switch back to the Jedi and I guess Coruscant. So we haven't even talked about Master Soul yet. Because I wanted to get all like the craziness out first to shake that loose. The Master Soul, Li Zhongjie has absolutely killed it, and I cannot
100%.
wait to see like the rest of what Soul's story is. And I am obsessed with Soul immediately. Like he's already like one of my favorite.
Oh yeah, Matt was talking about Yord being his favorite. Soul was. I'm part of the Soul Patrol.
I saw someone say. Is that Soul Patrol and Yord Horde?
I saw someone mention Soul Patrol. He was awesome. Everyone knows Qui-Gon is probably my favorite Jedi. He was very, very Qui-Gon.
Yep.
Absolutely, the Qui-Gon energy was like immediately apparent there.
Yeah.
He like I feel like Saul's going to be held up as like the epitome of Jedi ideals, much like Qui-Gon is already. Speaking of Saul, there was one other thing that they gave us at Lucasfilm. It was the first editions of the Saul saber toy. This is like a new style of sabers coming out. It's called Kyber Core. And apparently you can like mix and match them, kind of like the old Saberforge stuff. So you can like make your own hilt once you collect all the characters' hilts.
How do you feel about having an
heavily
unboxing video
on the cover there?
No.
Okay.
Let him have his moment.
He already opened the noodles. I mean,
no.
Well, they want exclusive.
This one I'm probably not going to open. I'm probably not going to open.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's incredible, though. Soul he's a close second for my. I mean, obviously for the Jedi, he's definitely it's Yord and Soul for me. The moment
I'm terrified that
go ahead,
Soul's gonna die. I mean, we're talking about Yord dying, I think, but like Soul is that Qui-Gon, old Ben kind of figure in A New Hope, that the mentor figure, right? They always kind of bite the dust by the end of the story. So
I mean, that is very Star Wars to do that.
Yeah.
He better not.
I
loved it.
He really is. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
He really is moving in the same direction, like following the footsteps of Qui-Gon too, in that more so in episode 2, but like he's willing to defy the council if he feels it's the will of the Force and the right thing to do. And that's like the most Qui-Gon move ever.
Yeah. In episode 2, he gets you see him getting really frustrated with just like the whole bureaucracy of the council, and we have to run it all by the committee. Don't just like go and do your thing. Which also
represented by Vernestra.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
What happened to you?
But sorry, I want to talk about Soul though. So like, I loved his initial scene in which he's teaching the group of younglings and just talking to them about how to visualize the Force and not to trust what you see, but just to use your feelings. And just, if I had to like show a scene to anyone about what are the Jedi, I'm pretty sure it would be that scene at this point in time.
Yeah.
Specifically when the youngling talks about fire and Soul's just like,
he's like, whoa, okay. So
he's like, teachable moment.
He's like, that's good. Yeah, he's like, that's good. Use that. But let's think about this as well. And so like, I love how he mentions the fire and mentions like it could also be like an ocean. Like that's like another huge part of the High Republic is how many of the named Jedi like picture the Force differently. And so like, I love how they rolled that into like this one of seeing it as a fire, seeing it as an ocean, seeing it as a tree with like the branches and the roots. It was just so good to like get this like bigger look at like the
back
Force.
to like The Last Jedi a little bit for me, and the way Luke taught Rey about the cycle of life and the interconnect, like the little montage we got of like the trees and the fish and everything.
Yeah,
and definitely felt that same vibe.
You know, with the Rise of Skywalker had water, and Revenge of the Sith had fire. You know, they're kind of opposing forces, but they can both exist within the Force itself. They represent, or the Force represents both of those things, which I really liked.
Balance.
Also, I'm trying to figure out why they call her Osha, and I was like obsessed with him saying like, oh, the ocean, and then they call her Osha. But I've been like, well, what does May stand for? I've been trying to figure out what May's name is supposed to represent. Probably nothing. I'm probably thinking way too hard about that.
You can look into it another time.
Hey, you know who the Acolyte's
I'll figure it out.
You know who the Acolyte's going to be?
Who?
It's going to be May.
That's how it came up.
My God.
Someone cracked that joke in the writer's room, and they're like, "Oh, May, write that down."
Yeah. That's another.
I have literally nothing else to say to that. Just
jumping around a little bit, but still talking about Saul. I think the moment that really solidified him for me as like an all-timer of a Jedi, and like it's gonna take a lot of missteps to like take him off this list for me now. Like he's there. Was when he told Osha, he was just, "I believe you."
Yeah. Oh,
like,
that was the moment that endeared me to him.
Smiled at her like he's seeing an old friend.
That was
cut through the tension, disarmed the situation, and gave her compassion. And that's like at the core of what it means to be a Jedi, you know?
Kneeled down next to her, put his hand on her shoulder, and just gave her a smile. That's
very warm.
That's a Jedi.
Qui-Gon Jinn, like he's considered such a maverick because he's a holdout to this outdated philosophy, and here's this philosophy fully realized in full swing in its heyday. And like it's just God, it's such an impressive thing to see. And Lee Jung-jae really just killed this performance. You could really feel his emotion, like the urgency, like the sorrow, the hope at different times. Like Yeah, I was hanging on every word that came out of that man's mouth. Like,
Tim
commanded those scenes.
Yeah. And with the snow planet there was Karlak from Clone Wars,
right?
Where we meet Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan for the first time. Exactly.
It's a cool pull. So
that is where she slapped Ahsoka's ass.
I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't gonna say it.
I wasn't gonna say it either, but
my brain was going, Matt, don't bring it up. And I said, okay, I'm not.
Why wouldn't you bring it up? Though. Happy Pride, everybody.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, good. God, I have just completely like lost like my moment. One more thing about
every time. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're really good at this, Kyle. So
chaos when I go on a podcast. You should
one
know
more thing about Soul as well. As you guys were like all just like saying of like his compassion for others, Soul is using compassion as an emotion the way that the Jedi should. That's like one of the things obviously in the prequels that gets like blown out of proportion with like attachment and love. And like Soul is the embodiment of how Jedi can actually use those emotions for better.
Right.
Honestly, like we don't know where it's going to end up, but like everything that has been him reconnecting with Osha and also connecting with his current Padawan and the other Jedi around him everything is just like so meaningful and like from the heart from him, and it shows. And I'm entranced every single time it's like his scene.
Yeah, same.
It's interesting. The trajectory towards this anti-attachment dogma has already fully begun, and like it definitely did feel like Vernestra was judging him a little bit for his level of compassion that he was willing to show towards like. And she hasn't been exonerated yet, so at this time she's the prisoner. But like this is shortly before another attack takes place. They realize it can't be her, and then suddenly she's an asset. They're willing to work with her. But until then, like Vernestra is really judgy about the fact that Saul still has an attachment and that he cares about her. Like, she expects him to be a little colder. And like you said, what the hell happened to her? Well, man, 116 years of being in middle management is what happened to her.
Yeah,
that'll shut anybody down.
I think that's definitely what has happened is she's gone through so many lifetimes and seen so many people that she's just like she just doesn't have like that exactly like built in anymore. And that's definitely something that she's going to have to like grapple with as the show like moves on. Definitely.
Is she a member of the council?
I would assume.
They didn't mention it, so I guess
I can answer this one. Leslye told me.
If you're allowed to say it.
Yes. Yeah. She just was like casually kind of trying to break down the roles like that people play in the hierarchy of the Jedi. And she said this pretty off the cuff. So like there's probably more context to it, but she said that Vernestra is essentially second in command.
Wow.
You can think of her as the vice president, below perhaps Yoda, and that's about it.
Wow.
So I think by Yoda she means like the full council.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the organization, like the admin department of the Jedi Temple, Yoda's the department head. She's the chair, like the vice chair, and then
she's like
all the rest of the masters are below her. But she's kind of
She's the mace capacity. She's got
she's totally the Mace Windu of this show. Absolutely, she's in like the executive like vice.
She's bald. She has a purple lightsaber, and everybody's kind of mad at her for being too strict. That's
next week.
She's just Mace Windu, guys.
Oh man, Osha citizen next week.
No. Yeah. She might. Oh my god. Okay. Anyway,
probably not.
I think she's gonna train Luminara.
Ooh.
Now that we've established that like Mary Ellen's lived so long, like I don't think we have a canon age.
That would be cool.
Luminara at the time of her death, so it's possible she was around. You know?
That'd be very cool. Okay. Anyway. So
I love how we all just said she's the Mace Windu, and in the comments as well. So
Mace Windu.
Hope she doesn't go Windu.
No. I don't want to see that.
That would be sad.
Okay, so let's really quickly talk about Osha's nightmares and her like visions that she has. Because there was one really spooky one in this episode. Trippy is I guess that was the word. It was a young kid standing in the doorway, really like staring. That's terrifying.
Spooky.
That's
when she said like "hello, sister," like she just like that line delivery, like it was really good, creepy kid acting.
Yeah,
those kids are really
it's
good.
the balance you have to strike, and like that kid nailed it.
Yep.
So I have a wild theory. You ready?
Ooh.
What if May and Osha have a Force dyad?
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. I
not that
might sound
wild.
crazy.
I think that's very possible.
That's in play.
Very possible.
Like I
have a wilder theory.
And like it's a whole like the Force Awakens moment of like the Force reawakening for May because of Force reawakening for Osha because of May's actions.
Yeah.
And so like it is just like everything is just being like, hey, there's something going on. Your other half is doing something. You need to deal with it. Because they have this like spooky, like I'm half of you. We were one soul.
I was about to bring that up. The
were
nursery rhyme. They pretty much allude to a dyad in that, saying
They
always
totally
one,
did.
born is two.
like, what is that?
And there's no way that's. I mean, that's laying it on pretty thick if it's not a dyad.
It can't be a coincidence. No, not
you know,
at all.
Like,
and
wild.
Palpatine says that the last dyad was not seen for generations, so he doesn't really give a time frame. But a couple hundred years,
generations,
probably pretty good. I'd say
that's a few generations.
That's a few generations at the very least.
Yeah.
One other thing that like I'm remembering more and more things that Leslye talked about as we discussed them like coming up. But like one thing she also talked about was like the connection between twins, and that was something that she really wanted to explore, and like that almost like telepathic link that a lot of twins seem to have. And I think that that's really coming into play in the Vision scene, and that it's not just because these sisters are both Force sensitive, but it's because they're twins. It's like half Force thing, half twin thing, and that's why they're able to like. The same way Luke and Leia, who are also twins, like when he's hanging out in Cloud City and she's able to hear him with no training, it's a twin thing more than the Force almost.
Yeah,
exactly. Like I said, Star Wars has always been about twins. I will admit that I have spent the whole day on the Wikipedia page for twins in mythology, specifically so that I could figure out like what is this representing? What are we drawing from?
What'd you get?
A lot. Most twins in mythology represent duality, usually light and dark. And that was a pretty upfront, straightforward
duality,
thing.
huh? You don't say.
Yeah, as it turns out, I have not gotten much out of the Wikipedia page, if you haven't noticed, but I'm trying.
Let us know.
I also found a couple of articles on twins, just like in Star Wars as well, specifically like Luke and Leia. But obviously, the Luke and Leia connection, I think, was played up more in the sequels as like twins than it was in the originals, because they weren't even twins until the third movie.
Yeah.
So the twin sons symbolism that isn't even touched upon until we get to the end of the Rise of Skywalker. Literally, the last scene in the entire saga is like the twin sons with the twins standing underneath them. But yeah, twins is a big thing in Star Wars, and I'm curious about where Osha and May are going to go. Like, I have some ideas.
Leslye, I feel like I've started every sentence in this podcast with Leslye said, but Leslye also said that when she pitched the idea initially to Kathleen Kennedy, that she had a big reaction to it. Those were her words, because Kathleen Kennedy is also a twin. She has an identical twin sister, Connie. And she said that like the show like really resonated with her, and she had like a special attachment to this project coming to fruition because of that like story matter, and like hit her where she lives,
Yeah,
there you go. And she's talking to Connie the whole time through her telepathic link, saying like, "Oh, then we're making a show about twins. Can you believe it?" And she's like all the way in Scotland or something. Like, wow, that's great.
Well, I mean, she was probably like a couple offices over, because they both work at Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
Ooh, I want to get to Smilo Ren.
So
While we were on the twins, I wanted to bring up, this isn't touched upon in the episodes necessarily, but their last name is Anasea, from like just knowing the knowledge of the marketing, and then Mother Anasea.
They say your last name when Yord arrives.
Yord, yeah.
They do say Osha Anasea.
So they do. Okay.
We never hear May Anasea, but Osha Anasea gets said out loud.
Since we've just established they're twins,
Mother Anasea is the witch character we're going to eventually meet, that runs a coven.
I think she's dead. I think she's only going to be alive in the flashback.
Probably.
I think she will. I think she will too. I think
she died in the fire along with everyone else.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I mentioned having a crazy theory about that, and what it is that the roles are actually reversed. I think that Osha started the fire, and May was blamed for it.
I can see that. This is
like it was a complete misunderstanding. They both, and like Osha had lived her life resenting her dead sister, thinking that she wiped out her whole family. Meanwhile, May is like living with this guilt, thinking that she's killed her whole family, when neither of those are the case. And that shame and guilt is what, Smilo Ren was able to use to get his hooks in her in the first place. He manipulated the situation that way.
There is a show that I cannot think of right now, or there's a movie or a show where a sibling does something evil. And the other, yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Totally.
It was us.
Wow.
Literally, I was thinking like, does something where the other one takes the place. Yeah, it's us. Or
It's
if you
us.
want to get real granular, it's that one Treehouse of Horror episode in The Simpsons where Bart has an evil twin, and then it's revealed at the end that Bart was the evil twin, and that the evil twin was actually the good twin was the one that was locked up. So
Not the
I
one
can
with
see that.
Pierce Brosnan as the AI house.
No.
No,
That's
Not that
my
one?
favorite one.
the one with Dr. Hibbert punching Bart in the face through a painting. If you've ever seen
All
it.
right, all right.
Yeah, when he traded his soul for Alf Pogs.
All
My favorite.
right, Jamie, where were we? Milo Ren.
Yeah, we're actually on that. So we're on May arriving at unnamed planet at the end there, looking at whoever this Sith person is in the distance, and he does this whole lightsaber ignition thing. But he does the whole an acolyte kills without a weapon. An acolyte kills the dream.
It's
To be
so
more
good.
precise, he actually said, that's what I heard.
Like a Spaceball situation.
It was very like, can't hear with the apparatus. Totally.
It
And
was
she's
good.
standing all the way over there too, so she can't hear shit. She's just
Really
He has like a
far away.
megaphone.
They should have been like, what? Huh?
Oh, he's turning his saber on. Okay.
He's saying
What is he
something.
doing?
Oh, you're there. It's the bust
I
up
was-
neighbor. I'll just nod like he's making a point.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
We know I'm usually a sucker for the villains like that, so like I was eating that up. That was really
Oh,
well
yeah.
The
done.
voice being so heavily disguised implies to me that we've already met this person.
Yeah,
Oh, I think we have.
We've already met this person. I mean, I have my suspicions, and we can get into that in the second episode
it's
discussion.
Yord, right?
I think everybody. Yeah, it's definitely
No.
yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
We've never seen
I'm
them in the same
curious-
room at the same time. Just
I'm
saying.
curious if we think the same thing about that, but I guess we can move on to.
There's some pretty obvious signs, which means that we both have probably concluded what is likely to be a red herring. But
Yeah,
because they do that in these like as these mysteries unfold, they give you a breadcrumbs leading to a wrong conclusion, so you can be subverted when the truth is revealed.
So let's get into it. Let's get
Well, there you
into
go.
episode 2. By the way, first episode was Lost/Found, and then this one, episode 2, is Revenge/Justice. Which
Oh,
I
yeah,
That was a
love how-
reveal
Going
for me
with
during
that.
the stream because at the premiere and at
Yeah.
the screening, they did not mention any episode titles. So I
That's
learned
okay.
that the first time last night.
So
Nice.
speaking of duality, see, I
So
read the Wikipedia
full
page.
circle.
yeah.
he knows all.
We know all. I know all. There's two names for each episode.
So okay, Matt. So come here.
Milo Ren.
It's funny that you guys all think that he's gonna be the guy. I think that he might be someone who is also trying to get whatever this like apprenticeship acolyte
Like-
ship is. Like he's a competitor.
He's a
That's what
secret
I think.
rival.
I
Yeah.
think it's kind of implied. I mean, he's helping her out, but obviously the Sith don't help.
That's his, that's
people
his
who are
method, though.
Once he showed off those moves defending himself, I was like,
Yeah,
well, this
true.
guy's somebody. Like,
True.
Yeah.
No, he
she's
was
been
so
fighting
desperate.
Jedi.
She
Yeah.
fully had the drop on him, and he was so quick about it.
Yeah,
Though I will say, you say she fights Jedi, but I will say that both of the times that she showed up to fight Jedi, she's been May is not extremely competent. I thought she was going to be like an unstoppable killing force, but she's kind of a little bit.
clumsy.
She's kind of like
She's an
bumbling
angry,
through
wounded
this.
kid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And he's just aiming her at what she thinks is the solution. But
Exactly.
that's out of the Sith playbook right there. Like the master does all of his acting through this apprentice who's often misguided and being manipulated. And it's also right out of the Sith playbook to appear meek and unassuming and be in plain
Mhm.
sight, even helping, even offer like how many times did Palpatine offer friendly advice to Anakin? You know,
Mm.
like
All
just
the
being his
time.
kindly
More
old
times than we
friend,
can count.
the Chancellor. Like this guy's like, oh, I'm just some. We never saw him do the drugs, by the way. We just saw him laying around with drugs in the area. Like we never
Yeah.
see him imbibe anything. It could be an act.
I think it is. I honestly think it is. And the whole speaking of an act, when Osha does arrive, he says to her, like, he's kind of acting like that fool, and then he's like, wait, you look just like her. And there's like
Yeah.
a switch that goes off where he goes from
Oh,
like bumbling idiot to like really evil,
He's
creepy
like,
guy.
oh man.
Oh, is
hmm."
you- Are
He
you
kind of
okay? And
like
he's like-
he's kind of unsure, and then he gets steady for a second.
Yeah,
When he makes that decision. Like you can see like a different character emerge.
it
almost.
switches.
Yeah.
Oh, in the beginning of that scene, I love their super awkward like, hi,
Yeah.
Hi.
hello.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Osha,
Hello? Like-
you got to work on your acting skills. You're supposed to be your sister. You're not supposed to walk in and look lost and confused. You're supposed to look like you belong. What are you doing?
I love that it cuts to Yord's face while that's happening too, because he's already salty that they didn't go with his plan.
They should have.
He's like, oh God, like they so should have done my plan. Like, listen,
he's like, Osha's messing this whole thing up. Oh crap! Should have listened to me.
He's so shitty about it.
Yeah, all of this. So this is all on the planet Olega, in which there is a Jedi outpost. And it's this
So
random
what's your
apothecary.
problem with Olega?
It's too similar of a word to Omega.
What?
That's literally my only problem. I'm sorry. We just
That'll make it easier to remember.
Endo's not a system; he's a man.
There's also a character named Omera, which like bothers the heck out of me. We had Omera in the Mandalorian. We have Omega in the Bad Batch, and now we have Olega, the planet. I'm sorry, you got to stop just changing like one letter around. Like,
I'm looking forward to Heka whenever they show up.
Yep.
You can tell they're going to be a party.
There's a planet. The planet the Ithorians are from is Otega. So
that's true.
The Otagans.
That's two different letters, though. I gotta say. Anyway,
it's like the Fallout.
The new planet is called Banana Fanafofega.
That's better. That's better.
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the Jedi outpost here, and we have Torbin. Not buckets of blood.
Torbin.
This is my problem with that name. Because it's not even too similar. It's the same.
It's the same.
They literally named him Torbin, and there's already a Jedi in the High Republic named Torbin.
Right?
I know. But
yeah,
come
on. It's different, but it is the same name. Absolutely, it's the same name.
Why did you name him Torbin?
May he rest in peace.
This one's just a guy.
It's a guy.
He's not just a guy. He is the proud recipient of the greatest silly fake beard since
Dude
himself.
Yeah. Crix Nadine, eat your heart out, because
they're related.
Torbin,
fantastic.
He's growing beards like I grow beards. That is,
I kind of want to make my beard look worse and then be him for Halloween.
You got it.
Like,
as this scene like happened, and like spoilers, he dies. He's dead. After like that happened, I looked at AJ and I was like, so there's gonna be flashbacks, right? And he's like, how do you know there's gonna be flashbacks? And I'm
because we need to know what the hell just happened.
I was like,
I forgot about the trailer footage of them younger. So
honestly, I wasn't even thinking about that. I just knew the actor was just much younger. Yeah, and there was no way they would have put him in one scene in a receding hairline and a fake.
Well, that's right, because we see Saul with short hair too at one point.
Yeah, like I'm not even thinking about that. Like,
but when they did the character, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it stinks knowing like the outside influence of stuff. I just want to consume it without knowing.
Well, they did the episode breakdown, and when they did the episode breakdown, the picture they used for Torbin was the one from the trailers where he's like being controlled by the witches and like a Padawan. And I said, "Holy crap, that's Torbin!" Like I've seen this guy in the trailers.
Yeah,
Padawan to master in just 16 years, 10 of which he's on a Barash vow. So like he didn't do anything. So he got there in like very quickly.
What is he, Vernestra?
It was literally a stressful time. He lost all of his hair, and he has a scar, and he has a glued-on beard.
The hell of 16 years, man.
He took the hair off his head and put it on his face.
He's been meditating, okay?
I'm pretty sure he did not have a beard when he started his Barash.
So
he just went with it.
I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I mean, that was exciting. Barash vow.
So the
that
Barash
was
vow. Yeah, that is absolutely huge. That was definitely like the biggest thing I think in the episodes. I was just like, oh my god, that's from the High Republic.
I couldn't believe she mentioned
it's from the High Republic, but I still remember seeing it first in Vader issue 2.
Thank you. I said this last night, and they yelled at me. They said nobody's gonna know that, Matt, and I said, but it's where it's from.
He was such a cool little glup shitto Jedi. He's just absolutely jacked, just like living on some planet, just floating there, waiting for Sith to kill.
And Vader got his crystal from him. Like that's huge.
Yeah, that's where his crystal
plays a huge part in the saga.
It's a cool pull.
So,
there was a lot of like deep pulls they had throughout these episodes.
Absolutely.
For context, what Matt and Kyle were just talking about, because I lost the plot in the middle of that conversation. The Barash vow was first mentioned in a Darth Vader comic, which is why they were very excited about it in this one. And then it gets like fully explained in the High Republic. It's named after
Vader number 2 by Charles Soule and Giuseppe Camuncoli. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And AJ and I were making fun of Matt last night for saying everyone's going to know it from the Darth Vader comic. And I'm like, nobody's going to know it based on the comic because not everyone reads the comics, okay?
Well,
and then
it's
Matt's
almost
like,
a
Darth Vader
10-year-old
got his
comic.
crystal. And I'm like, okay, that's really cool. And like, I know that, but like, that's not common knowledge. And you got to roll
That
it
came out
back.
10 years ago.
What is the common knowledge?
That's
That's not
2017.
common knowledge.
So
Oh, that was
unless
20
the Last
Anyway,
Jedi is 10 years
Very
old.
cool reference.
Common knowledge is a relative statement based on the circle you currently find yourself in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That is true.
which I don't know where that is. I don't know where my circle is anymore.
I don't know.
My circle's
I don't
more
know.
noble.
I feel like in this circle, it's common knowledge who Will Hood is. You know,
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
tell you
that
everything you
is.
need to know.
Of course. Of course.
So what else happened this episode besides Torbin and the Barash
Nothing.
Vow and Kamir? I'm not even kidding. Those are all my notes.
The poison.
May and Osha discover that each other is alive. They see each other
Yeah.
face to face for the first time, and Osha hesitates to fire off her ridiculous stun blaster like thing. I love it.
Big fart
and then
gun.
she
And most
misses.
importantly, Saul watches that interaction and he sees the hesitation, and he basically was able to study the dynamic between these two sisters. And I think that's going to help him trust Osha more implicitly, because now he knows for sure. Not that he ever suspected it, but now he knows they're not working together, right?
He knows they're not working together, but
He knows that
she missed pretty.
She
hard.
fired wide on
missed on
purpose.
purpose.
She was like, "Get out of here! This is your one chance."
Yeah.
He knows,
Yeah.
but he witnessed her take the shot though, and like that's also like super important. It's not just like
He witnessed
she
her
didn't even
whiff.
try.
Yord also suspected
And-
that maybe the twins were working together, and I loved how Saul shut him down with just like, "Don't let fear cloud your judgment."
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a good point. I think this will be a teaching moment where it's like, Osha kind of lets her feelings get in the way of catching her sister and stopping her sister from going around killing Jedi. And so I think that's going to be something that Osha's going to have to learn. Like, I get it. You love your sister. But she's murdering people. You might want to stop her.
It's
I
interesting
think.
that.
Sorry, go for it.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think my favorite like background performance of these first two episodes might actually be the local Jedi on Oleg who catches the street urchin and he's like, stop squirming, like,
He's
come on. And then he totally like loses the plot. He's supposed to be doing surveillance on the tea shop, stops to chat with someone, and he looks back and he's like, oh,
where'd she go?
He's gone. Like,
Where'd they go?
I love that guy. Tall, stocky, with a Cockney accent.
Posted on Oleg.
No chance. He had no chance.
No
chance.
He's
what was
the
I gonna
Acolyte.
say?
It's him.
Yep.
It's interesting that she didn't take that. I think she did miss the shot because it was just to stun her. And earlier in the previous episode, she says she trusts the Jedi to those prisoners. So like, wouldn't she trust the Jedi to kind of help her sister out? Like, or maybe she doesn't trust the system.
Maybe she trusts her sister more.
Maybe
she has really bad aim.
That's true.
I would say she probably just doesn't know who to trust yet. I would say that she trusts Soul, but she doesn't possibly trust the Jedi yet. Because like in like the first episode, she says that she does trust the Jedi, but then like the Jedi are literally like hunting her down, and the only one who like is like, oh, I will help you is Soul, and the other two Jedi walking around with them are just like, you're bad. And then at this like Jedi temple, all the other Jedi are like, you're bad, you did this. And Soul's the only one that's like, no. Even though Yord is like, oh,
try to put yourself emotionally in her shoes in this moment too. Like you've lived the last 16 years believing your twin, who's like an integral part of your life, is dead. You find out very recently that they're alive. You're seeing them face to face for the first time, and you have to bring yourself to pull a trigger on this person, and like you're stunning them, but you're still hurting them. Like you mentally and emotionally haven't even grappled with the fact that they're still alive, and now you have to try and shoot a weapon at them. Like the best of us couldn't bring ourselves to do it. Like you're so emotionally unpredictable in that moment that like I don't think that Saul can fault her for hesitating or even for firing wide on purpose. Like if anyone's going to have compassion for her scenario, it's going to be Saul.
Yeah, and I think he will. He definitely
Saul
will.
has a bit of an attachment that he's been kind of struggling with too. So,
and he said, "Fuck the council." That's the other thing that happened this episode. That was a big one. Pretty openly defiant of Vernestra giving him a direct order.
Yeah,
love that Qui-Gon energy.
It is. It's very. I mean, and he specifically said he based his performance on Qui-Gon, so it's not like we're reading into it. I mean, it's fairly. No,
absolutely. Obvious. It was apparent from his first couple scenes.
He's one of my faves.
To go back to Torbin and the poison, that scene where he comes out of it, and he does drink. He willingly drinks the poison, which is very like chilling. He'd rather die than reveal what happened.
He wants to die because he. Well, go ahead.
No, go. I'll say it afterwards.
I was just gonna say. I think it's rather than reveal what happened. I think he just wants to die because he feels bad. Like he wants release. You know, they keep saying like absolution. You know, this poison will absolve you. He just feels such an immense amount of guilt that death is kind of like a release.
You guys have seen V for Vendetta?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
The scene where V kills Delia Surridge, the scientist. She wakes up in her bed and he's in her room. He gives her the Scarlet Carson flower.
Yeah.
She says, "Is it meaningless to apologize?" And he says, "Never." And like she like very, very earnestly atones for what happened. And then she's like, "Are you going to kill me now?" And he's like, "I killed you 10 minutes ago." And like holds up the syringe. Like, it's a badass scene, but that's the exact same energy that I felt in that interaction between May and Torbin. Like he did not justify it. He did not try and defend himself in any way. He simply apologized and then just drank, like willingly drank this poison. And
yeah,
I've got to know what happened that would put him in this like clearly he's been running from this ever since it happened. Like that's why he took the Barash vow.
That's the one thing where I'm like, what happened on this planet? Like all these years.
That's the big mystery.
And
I like what happened.
I like that it's
Indara, or so did Indara, I guess.
It got marketed as a murder mystery, but it's
really not.
I'm stealing this from Alex from Star Wars Explained on his recent video, but he said instead of a who done it, it's a why done it.
Yeah,
he said that.
I said that in my reaction too, actually.
Okay, so I'm stealing it from you too.
Why done it?
But like it's brilliant. I like that a lot. It's kind of very like Knives Out, Glass Onion type mystery, I guess, in a way.
Oh, Ryan Johnson.
So who done it?
And a lot of people talk about how this show reminded them of The Last Jedi, and I can sort of see that a little bit.
I feel like there were some Last Jedi aesthetics, especially
for sure.
Like the reflection scene with the red saber felt very Ochto.
Everybody, they
actually is Ochto, but
they keep saying it is. I don't think it is.
I want it to be.
I don't want it to be.
I want it to
be.
For me. I don't need it to be.
I don't want the Sith to know where Octo is. The Jedi don't even know where Octo
Although, you know what? You know Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi is going to take place with Ochto heavily featured.
Oh, absolutely.
So it would make sense to kind of like refresh us on this. Like that
would be a little connection, yeah. So
we'll see.
I was thoroughly impressed. I know that some screeners are out. Some people have seen the first 4 episodes. I have not. I have seen 1 and 2, and now I'm all caught up. So I'll be watching.
You've seen 1 and 2 4 times.
I've seen 2 3 times. All right, okay. 1 4 times. When I did the Lucasfilm screening, we only saw episode 1.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, no,
really? That would have been. I would have been like.
Yeah, no, homeboy's like, Acolyte kills the dream, and then they're like, all right, go talk to Leslye.
I would have been like, hey, Leslye, can we watch the second episode?
Yeah, seriously.
What are we doing? Everybody's getting the second episode too.
That was another thing with these episodes. I didn't have any issues with them at all, really. I mean, the pacing of the first one was like, I was like drowning in lore. I'm like, wait, it was going so fast, but like I was eating it up, so it was great. And then the endings of the 2 episodes were very abrupt.
Yeah,
we had that, and then it just went to credits right away. And then we meet Kelnaka, and then it was just boop, credits. But like, it gets you ready for next week.
So predictions: do you think Kelnaka is going to get killed next, or are they going to be able to interfere in time?
I think it would be. I don't know.
Well,
I want to say. I was going to say it would be a waste.
A lot of people could be very angry if they introduce a Wookiee Jedi and kill him in the first episode we see him.
But then again, they had Carrie Ann Moss, and then you killed her off in the first.
Okay, well, Carrie Ann Moss is goddamn expensive. Okay, she's
that too.
First on the cast. Of course, she's going to die first.
You're right.
Meanwhile, Jonas.
We love Jonas. But,
I think that like
as Kelnaka's brother the next episode anyway. You know, they have no limit of the suits they can put this man.
Smell Naka.
His twin.
I think that
they can use the exact same costume.
I think that Kelnaka will be able to like hold his own. Because let's look at the case notes, shall we? All of the Jedi do end up going to this planet as well, because we know that Vernestra is going to be on this wooden planet based on trailer footage. And so like she like literally makes the trip out herself. If that's even the same place. So she's at least going to go to investigate. I don't know.
I'm wondering if
I'm a little bit lost right now.
well, based on the trailer footage, we know that the Red Blade will be encountering a group of Jedi, probably on this same forest planet.
In the woods, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, that was the point I was trying to get to.
That could be the
I think
aftermath
that
of Kilnaka's murder, and if that fight goes poorly, Vernestra could be showing up trying to figure out what happened to Saul and everyone else because they never report back in after that encounter.
Ew, yeah.
or May just straight up doesn't do what she was supposed to do, leaves, and the Sith guy is like, "What are you doing? Go back. I'm going back with you." Or he just like shows up and then deals with it.
I think he'll show up. It'll be like a badass entrance or something.
Yeah, Saul and the gang are gonna like treat with Kelnaka, be like, okay, well, we're glad to see that everything's fine. If you see anything, call us. And as they're leaving, May and the Red Blade will be standing outside the hut, like it's gonna switch at the last second.
I think they will. I think Kelnaka, not Kilnaka.
Oh, no.
I think he will get killed because we know that Master Soul is the final one on that list, and I feel like they'll get to him.
Yeah,
and then it'll
right.
be like let's defend him, let's protect him. He's next. So
we will probably get to see him a lot in the flashbacks, but it will be. I will sorely miss Kelnaka and his bare ass.
That's how I feel like it's going to be. That all of the Jedi on the list, except for Saul, are only going to really exist in the flashback, and we'll meet them for them to die each time.
I think so.
And then I'm suspecting episode 5. We're going to get the full story here.
I think episode 3 will be like an introduction of Kelnaka, and maybe the Red Blade will show up. I think somebody said that episode 4 was like a full-on just like battle. One of the middle episodes, somebody online said it was like just a full-on battle.
Fuck yeah, sign me up.
So I'm really excited for that. And that could be episode 4, and then maybe episode 5 is when we start getting answers because the whole episode is like a flashback. Could be the other way around.
Could be.
I mean, or we could just watch the show and see what happens and just.
Well, that's
we're doing a weekly show and we have to speculate.
I never had fans not to speculate with baseless wild. Like that's a tall order. That's a tall order right there.
Smilo Ren.
Well, I mean, you're right though. One way or another, we're going to find out soon enough. Personally, I am just gratified that this show benefits from a writer's room. We need writer's rooms for every Star Wars series. The only other one that has had one is Andor, and I think that like the proof is in the pudding. It really elevates the dialogue, and the writing is just top notch. The writer's room for this show has like a little bit of everything too. They've got an original trilogy diehard, a sequels fan, a prequels enjoyer, and someone who knows nothing about Star Wars. They just know about writing, and I feel like it's very apparent. Like you got all of those little flavors rolled up together. Like there was so much prequels energy all over episode 1. But a lot of very sequel trilogy feeling moments as well. Like it's very exciting when Star Wars isn't just made by people from one camp. You know what I mean?
Agree.
Like,
I absolutely agree.
It feels so much more interconnected and like the rich tapestry that it really is when everyone comes together and adds their own personal influences and makes this just feels more well-rounded in the Star Wars universe because there's so many things to reference and it feels grounded in so many different areas.
And I don't know if we would get the incredible dialogue exchange that was. Who was he or who is he? I thought he was with you.
That was brilliant.
That was
peak comedy.
That was one of the greatest jokes in Star Wars. That was one of my favorite things. I was rolling.
Yeah.
Oh my god! AJ, let's do character of the week.
Yeah, let's.
So last season for the Bad Batch, we picked a character each week of who our favorite was for that week's episode or episodes that dropped, and so we're going to do it for the Acolyte as well. So at the end of the season, we'll tally up who has the majority of who's like essentially the character of the show, right? So since we had 2 episodes this week, we're still just going to pick one character, unless you have like an honorable mention. So Kyle, as our guest. Who is your character of the first 2 episodes?
In terms of character, I think Saul. I was the most infatuated with Saul, like straight away. Like I love his character. He's so cool. In terms of like glup shittos, the Selkath working the hangar bay door. Like absolutely. What a treat. Sorry, Gonk Droid. Selkath wins this one, just for the rarity.
What about octopus guy or tentacle guy?
Head tentacle guy was probably one of my favorites.
So Matt, what is your character of the week? Or who? Sorry.
You know who it's going to be. It's Yord. I'm Yord Horde. Yord died Yord
Fiesta,
fan, dude. Yeah.
Hashtag Yord Horde.
Yeah, hashtag Yord Horde, dude. 100%.
AJ?
Okay. This is stupid, but I mean, my favorite thing in both episodes was just stupid Smilo Ren and his stupid dialogue at the end of
Smilo Ren.
I love I don't know. I'm gonna go with Smilo Ren / humor, No, I'm just kidding. We don't know if it's him.
Can I change my answer to the chair pilot droids?
Sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's my new answer.
I almost want to. We have character of the week, but I almost want to. Should we have glup shitto of the week with it too?
I mean,
Yeah.
we've all said a glup shitto at this
It's
point.
such a
I haven't
different
said
category. It really is a different.
Yeah, you already said tentacle
rationale
man.
behind it too.
Kyle
Tentacle
pioneered
man,
this,
true.
so we're starting this now.
Okay,
But
so we'll
on-
also do glup shitto. Official glup shitto of the week. So Kyle, is yours the Selkath or the chair pilot droid or the gonk?
My glup shitto would be the chair pilot droid, just because that's such a delicious, ridiculous thing to do. And then my character would be Saul, like I said.
Okay, Matt.
The extra that put a bowl on top of that one thing and then it fell off and they added the sound effect to it in episode 2. I noticed that yesterday. What's the planet again? That sounds like Omega. What's it
Olega?
called?
Olega?
Olega.
On Olega, if you watch like mid-episode, there's a scene where like an extra's walking by, he puts a little bowl on top of like a box and it falls off because he didn't put it down right, and they added the sound effect and just left it in as like an establishing shot, and I was like, brilliant.
I love that.
So I'm gonna give it to that guy, that extra.
Beautiful. AJ. So
Glup shitto.
yeah.
The tentacle guy that sounded like Bruce.
Bruce
Okay,
and Scott.
okay.
Pencil, yeah.
Good
Love that.
head tentacle guy gets one at
Yeah.
least. I'm glad.
Okay, so for me, for character of the week, I'm going to pick Jackie. I absolutely
solid.
adored her.
Yeah.
I love everything about her. She's fantastic. And Glup Shitto, I'm gonna pick
This is a big one.
specifically the little like brain invader thing that was on the
Yep.
guy's mouth, and then you see it
Okay.
and then it flies away into
Oh
the
god,
vents.
it creeped me out the way it like flittered.
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
There
Nope.
it goes.
It's like a
Ugh.
jellyfish. Ooh, where'd you
Don't like
go?
that.
What are you
It
doing?
went into the vents too, so it could be anywhere now.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, whatever that thing was. That's my Glup Shitto.
We don't know that it died in the crash, honestly. What
We
if we
don't.
got a whole trilogy of novels about the Dybbuk being on
It's
Carlax?
the
just, like, having a new
interloper.
life?
Taking over.
We get some sort of like short in the future of like someone finding that ship, and it's just like an alien situation of like
My god,
a million
yeah.
of those things. They are kind of
Ugh.
face huggers. So,
Oh
It's
my
like all
god.
malnourished. It's been there for years.
oh
It
yeah.
sucks his brain out through his mouth.
Anyway, this has been fun.
Sorry,
this
what
was-
a note to end on.
So this was the Acolyte, the beginning of the Acolyte. Thank you so much for joining us this week, Kyle, to talk about the show so far and your experiences in good old California.
Yeah, of course.
Giving
Thank
us
you so much
the
for having
info.
me.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat tonight. I can't believe Star Wars showed up and actually said hello in the beginning.
What the hell was that?
God.
Yeah, that was.
Thank you guys.
That was fun.
Join
Oh,
us
that's
next
my
week.
best thing, you know. They follow me everywhere.
Love to see it. So thank you. But yes, thank you to everyone who was in the chat tonight hanging out with us. And thank you to everyone who has been listening additionally as well in the playback of this. We'll be back next week with another episode of Holland Marauders Live, a coverage of the Acolyte. We'll be back next week with another guest. So we'll see you guys next week on the Holland Marauders podcast.
See you, everybody.